So good evening and welcome to my SQL training session. Just like from our curriculum, we'll begin here with introduction to data. I want us to use this scenario we have here so we understand these things very well. This data set belongs to a company in the United States. We can give a name US Shop. US Shop. Now, US Shop sells a wide range of products across US, the United States. From products like furniture products to technology products to office supplies products. And I think they also have technology, office supplies, and furniture. Now, as their customer base grows, that's the same way their data will grow. Because I told us that data grows, it evolves. As businesses grows, data also grows. If you go through this data set, after the class, I'll send it to us. When you go through it, you'll find out that it contains other information, meaning the customers places order. They place order that, okay, this is what they want to buy. They first of all make an order for what they want to purchase. So the data set contains information for orders made, customer information, the different category of customers that purchase the products, consumers, home office, they are all also provided here. So to manage this data efficiently, what US Shop needs is what we call a database system. And this is where this tool called MySQL comes into play. But before we solve that problem in line with our curriculum and our lessons, first, what is data? When we talk about introduction to data. Now, I have told us before that data refers to facts, figures, those information collected for your analysis. This is it now. We have collected this from US Shop for analysis. So in our case, data includes the customer's name, data includes the customer ID, data include everything here, the country, the segment, the order date, the order ID, the row ID, everything. Why is this data important to us? It is important to us and also to the company US Shop because this data will help that business make informed decision. It will help them understand what we call trends. It will help them improve operations, and we'll see how that works. So US Shop have collected this data on customer purchases. Let's say they want to identify the best-selling product, because if you come with me to column P, column Q after P, you find out where we have the product name. So maybe they want to know which product is the best-selling product. They want to identify it because could be they want to manage their inventory effectively. That's part of the reasons why they need a robust database system to help tackle this challenge. So if I ask you a question, can you think of other types of data US Shop might collect apart from this? This one is for customer. Now, I just want someone to just tell us what other type of data do you think this organization might decide to collect apart from this customer related? Look at it from a business perspective. Can anyone? Okay, you know that this business is a retail business. So retail businesses, not only customers they have, they also have suppliers where they actually get this product from. So when we say you should think of other types of data US shop might collect, since this one is customer based, they might collect data that is supplier based. They might collect data that is based on the employees. They might even collect data that is related to the environment and all that. Maybe investors, data investor might need, and all of that. So I hope you understand. So a quick one, the next we have here talks about introduction to databases. What is a database? Now, I told us during our orientation that a database is an organized collection of data stored and accessed electronically. So when you open MySQL Workbench, this is the MySQL tool, you are to come down and click here where we have local instance MySQL 80. I believe everyone can see it. Local instance MySQL 80. You click on it and it takes you to the database environment, the database system environment, which is this. Now, this database, because we are going to organize this data. This is a collection of data, we call it data set. So this collection of data, which is the data set, we are going to organize it in this place. So where you store an organized collection of data that you will access electronically is the place we call a database. Why do we use a database? The reason why we use a database is because database allows for efficient data management. It allows for efficient data retrieval. It allows for
Good evening, sir.
data manipulation. I don't know if we are still together. Hello, Sir Raf. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
Okay. You can mute, sir. Thank you. So, if we apply this here, what this means is that US shop will now use the database we'll create for them to first of all do what? Store all their product information, store all their customers information, store all the other dates, other history information in one place. They will store these three things. In fact, this data is made up of those three things: product information, customer details, and what? Other history information. Other in one place. So the next question you now ask me, or I will ask you, why do you think? Because a lot of us knows Excel already, Microsoft Excel. But why do you think US shop, the company US shop, will choose a database system like MySQL instead of Excel spreadsheets? Why can't they just leave this data to be here in Excel? So why must they decide that no, they don't want to use Excel anymore? They want to use um, and they want to use the database system MySQL. Why? Well, by the time we round up today's class, you should be able to answer that very question. So that being said, the next lesson we have here talks about DBMS, introducing DBMS to you. What is this DBMS? What is it? D stands for database. DB stands for database. M stands for management. S stands for system. So what that means is database management system. So what is it? What is this database management system? A database management system is a software that interacts with the user. You are the user, you that comes and use the MySQL system. You're the user. So each time you come here to work, there is a software that interacts with you. You are not seeing it. But when you give a command, please do this for me, please execute this, you're interacting with a software. So don't just see the application. There is a software that enables the application to perform what it should perform. So the DBMS is the software that interacts with you. In fact, it interacts with what you could call three set of persons. Let me bring out my notepad. Three sets. The first set of persons the DBMS software interact with, this software interact with, is you. The second is the application. And the third is the database itself. So it interacts with you. It then goes ahead to interact with this application. And the database you will come and create, it will also interact with that database. So it will have full, complete information about what that database contains. So anytime you want to run a code, give me this, it will be able to provide it as fast as possible. So whenever you hear of the word DBMS, DBMS stands for Database Management System. And like I said, it is the software that interacts with you, that interacts with this application, and also interacts with the database you will create to be able to do two things. First, what it does, it reads. We call it data reading. Some people call it data capturing. So it comes here to read or capture. And second thing it does, it analyzes. So after it has read through your data, it now does what? Analyze it. You ask me, sir, why must I use a DBMS? Why do I have to use it? And I will tell you that you have to use it because there is a reason why. Remember the question I said, that why do you think US shop will choose to use a database system like MySQL instead of spreadsheet software called Microsoft Excel? One of the reasons is why you have to use the DBMS software. And that reason is what we call data storage. Data storage. I always tell many of us that Excel have a limitation. For those of you who have tried it before now, you agree with me that this is the bus stop, the last bus stop of Microsoft Excel. It only contains 1,048,576 rows. And you know that we don't call it rows, we call it record. We don't call it column, we call it field. So what is very important is the rows, because all what you do here, the rows are important. You can have a data set that contains 10 columns, but we have up to 1 million, 3 million records, which are the rows. So one of the reasons why you have to use the DBMS is for purpose of what? Efficient data storage. Another reason is for efficient data retrieval. Another reason is for efficient data management. And this is important because when you are able to upload your complete data, that talks about data integrity. The fact that that data meets, the criteria of completeness, the fact that that data, is up to date. Up to date. Not like a data that is short. No, this one is complete. That's integrity. I hope we understand. So what that tells you is that this tool called MySQL is a popular database management system. So if you happen to be within an organization that is asking, which management tool, database management tool, do you recommend? MySQL is good because they can use it to manage large amount of data efficiently. Apart from MySQL, we have others. MySQL is not the only database management system we have. There are others. You've heard of Oracle. Oracle is another one. You've heard of Postgres. These are all database management systems. You can go online, and research on it, because I'll always tell us here that as I always tell us that as a data analyst, you are also a researcher. So later research on Oracle, and also later on research on your Postgres, SQL. That's also a database management system. And we also have the Microsoft SQL Server. So this is also another. Okay. So, but what we are looking at here is this popular one called MySQL. So in case you're asked in your exam, name other database management systems beside MySQL. Remember Oracle. Remember Postgres. Remember Microsoft SQL Server. Now that takes us to the next lesson here that talks about DBMS versus Aru DBMS. What does that mean? That simply tells us now that apart from DBMS, there is another database system, another group. There is another group which is known as the Aru DBMS. Yeah, just hold on with your question. The Aru DBMS. Now, this is how to differentiate both of them. You know, when we say this versus this, it's just like saying rice versus gari. You know, what you look at is the differences between rice and gari. You look at it so that you know which one you can say, okay, which one is stronger than the other one. That's just the comparison we are talking about here between the database management system and the arrow. Now, the arrow stands for the word relational. So it means relational database management system. Now, the difference is this. Your database management system stores your data as files. But you see your relational database management system, it stores your data in what we call tables with what is known as relationship. So that's what we'll be doing because this tool is a relational database management system. This is MySQL. So whatever data we are going to store must be in a platform we call what? Table. Why is this AruDBMS important? It is important because it will allow a company like this US shop to handle complex data relationship. When we talk about relationship, this is what we mean. Let's say we are saying, Mr. Raphael, please help us link all the customers to their orders. Because now they are not linked. Their order is ID is in column B, while the customer itself is in column G. The customer ID is in column F. So you have to link it. It has to be linked. So imagine we are saying, go and link it. I hope we understand. Go and link it together. So when we talk about data relationship just means to link. To link. That's exactly what it means. Please, just a minute. All right, I believe everyone can hear me. So, as I was saying, this organization called US Shop will use this tool, which is a relational database management system, to connect all their customers, link them to their orders, and will also link them even to their purchase history. Look at how much have they spent, how many quantity of item did they purchase, all of that. So maybe when you're asked, what are the benefits of using a relational database management system? Maybe for a growing business like US Shop, you know what the benefits are, and it's very important. So quick notes, we move to the next lesson here that talks about introduction to SQL. Now the word SQL, previously call it SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. That's what it stands for. To many, they will argue that it's not a programming language. It is a programming language. So it is a programming language designed, but this type of programming language is designed for manipulating your relational database. So what you learn is this language. How do you manage data in a relational database called MySQL? You now need that language. You ask me, sir, why do I now need to learn this language? And I will tell you that this SQL allows you to perform a lot of data activities, from querying your data, updating records, managing your database structure. That's what the language does. So a company will call you, organizations will reach out to you as a data professional. What do they say? They will tell you, please, we want to use SQL queries to retrieve our customer orders. Maybe please use SQL queries to help us update our product prices, help us generate sales reports. What does that tell you? It tells you that that language is important, and that's the reason why you have to learn it. So I have a question for everyone, and a question you can digest, not to answer. Have you ever used a search function on a website before? Maybe there is a particular website. You go to that website and you notice that, oh, okay, I have to run a function for me to search for something. You know, when you come here to this website now, okay, let me go to our Mirademi platform, that website, though we are still working on it. So if we come over here, I don't know why it's slow. I think it's still coming up. I want to show us what the search function actually does. Okay, so over here you can see a search box. So just imagine you come over here and you're looking for a particular information. What do you have to do? You have to come to the search and then search. So maybe I'm searching for something like this, and then I hit on my search, and you see it begins to search, and it searches and does what? It brings that which I searched for. Now, this is exactly how your SQL language behaves. It is like a powerful search tool for your databases. So it's very important you learn it to perfection. Now we'll move to the next here, which talks about MySQL. Now people always mix these things up. What we have just looked at is SQL. There is no MY. Now we are now talking about MySQL. MySQL is the name of this system. SQL is a language. So take note of that. We call the MySQL system an open source. Did you pay money when you're downloading it? No. You went to the website, you downloaded it free of charge. That's an open source relational database management system. And it is such a platform that uses SQL. So this platform is called MySQL. It uses a language called SQL for database management. That's how both of them became related. MySQL is like the storage for you to communicate with those things you keep inside, which are the data. That's where SQL language comes in, because you have to speak that language. So just like going to a compound and you're calling someone, please, Emmanuel, come. You think of it like that. So how do you don't call data that way. You have to, use the right language. So this is MySQL. It is free, it is open source, it is highly reliable, it is secure, it is widely supported and used in many applications. You can use it to handle increasing data as the organization grows. So, assignment number 1 for you, go and research on companies that uses MySQL. Research on them. Research on applications that uses MySQL. Those are some ways you can do it, especially those that have started saying they want to start looking for a remote job. You make research. The tools you're learning, which companies uses it, especially in Nigeria and outside any country you're targeting. That's how you get started. So you now know how you blend your minds and everything, prepare yourself towards that. So that's it. The next we have here talks about what we call tables in MySQL. Now, what are tables? If you heard me right, when I talked about relational database management system, I told us that one of the differences where this one becomes the extra, where the extra comes, is the fact that in a relational database management system, we store data, we keep data in what we call tables. So what is this table all about now that we are meeting it here in MySQL? Now, when we talk about tables, tables are the fundamental building blocks of a MySQL database. So where I have a database called Abuja Hotel, the fundamental building block of it is the tables, because the tables are actually what makes up that hotel. If we talk about a hotel, hotel is made up of rooms because one of their services is accommodation. So those things, those pillars that makes up the database, look at the database like the hotel. What are those different aspects of this hotel? Those are the tables. So when we say tables are the fundamental building blocks of a MySQL database, this is it, because without it, where will you keep your data? The data we are storing will be stored in each table. That's why I said that in the relational database management system, we store data in what? Tables. But I did not stop there. There is something I said which you have to underline. We store data in tables with relationship. What does relationship mean? It's actually saying that whatever data you should have in each table must be related. That's why some other scholars will go as far as defining table to be a collection of related data. So if I'm having a data in bookings table, it must be data related to bookings. If I'm to keep a data in rooms table now, if I go and fetch out this rooms table, it must be a data related to rooms. And that's what you can see here. Room, 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 room. If we go to bookings, what do you see here? Bookings, information, guest name. Who is booking? The guest name. Which room the person book? What's the booking ID? What's the check-in date? What's the checkout date? With relationship. Why do you have to use tables? You have to use table because table organizes your data into structured formats. Look at this. Well structured. Well structured. This is a structured format. Well structured. Well structured. You can see it here. And when your data is structured, it makes it easy to access it. It makes it easy to manage it. That's the secret. So for a business, an organization, could be a government, could be any industry at all, especially the scenario we are looking at here, US shop. So for a business like US shop, if US shop will now have separate tables. They will have a table for customers. They will have another table for products, because I told us that this data set, by understanding this data set, one of the things you have to understand is what it contains. It is made up of customers information. We have product information. So then we have a table for customers. That's what you will now do for them. You will create a table for customers for them. You will create a table for product for them. You will create another table for them for others, because the other information is here. If there is any other important aspect, you also have to create. Then you store all the relevant data in such an organized manner as this. So if I ask you now, from this data set, what columns can you find? This is it a question, sir? Okay, so Elijah, yes, I can see your hand up. Go on, sir.
So to tell you that I'm not seeing the thing.
Okay, you can't see the screen?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, can you leave and rejoin? I think it should be a network
Okay.
yeah, issue.
Okay, let me try to do that.
Okay, sir. Okay, so everyone, that being said, let's now go practical. Let's now go to my SQL and let's now apply this scenario we have here with all of this. Okay, look at operators. Again, all the operators will solve the problem there. We'll look at all this so that everybody will understand this in just one class. I hope that's so. We'll talk about this now, and we have to make use of 30 minutes. 30 minutes to get this done. Now, the first thing we are going to do for US Shop, in line with our curriculum, yeah, if you come to the curriculum, you will see that after about all this, what do we have? It talks about creating and managing tables. So that's what we'll do now. How do you create your table? Now, before you create your table, you must first of all create the database where that table will be created within. So tables are like rooms in your house. You cannot just build room without the building. So the building must be created first. That building is the database. We have 30 minutes. Sir Elijah, have you been able? Okay. Hello, sir. Elijah, I want to be sure if you have been able.
Yes, I can see it now.
Okay. So this is how we now we'll create a simple database structure for US shop. Okay. So this is how we'll do it. This is how we'll do it now. Go to your MySQL, go to file, click on file, come down, select new query tab, new query tab. New query tab is a new page like this. You can see a new page. So right here, you are now going to create a database for US shop. I hope we are all following. How do you create a database? You make, is it a question, sir? Mr. Isaac, do you have a question? If it's not a question, I will mute you because of the background. Thank you, sir. Mute you. I'm muting. Oh, the thing is revising. Okay, thank you, sir. All right. So let's create the database. So to create our database, we'll use what we call the create statement. This is how we'll do it. We say create database. You now give a name for it. So let's say the name we want to give is, since the name of the company is US Shop, so let's give it that name. We say US Shop database. We then put our semicolon at the end. So you can see it's very simple and straightforward. This is a rule you must always take note of. Whenever you want to create a database, this is how you do it. You start with create, then you move with the word database, and then what do you do next? You provide the name for the database. After it, you are to provide a semicolon at the end of it. Now, you see what we have written, it is what we call statements. We call it a query. 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 What is a query? A query is a question. A query is an instruction. Why is it a question, sir? It is a question because imagine I'm asking, okay, maybe I'm discussing with Sir Elijah, and I say, please, sir, Create database, US shop. Somehow that's like, an instruction. So we'll call this a query. It's an instruction you're giving to the system to perform. So you will see how query is also a question. Sometimes maybe you're asking the database you've created. You're now saying, please, I want to check, or please give me all those customers who bought product last week Friday. That's also like an instruction again, right? Question now can be, how many customers paid their money using wallet payment method? That's a question. Still query. Some persons calls this a code, but we call it query here. So take notes. Now recall, I told you that there is something the database management system does. Data reading, capturing, and analyze. This is it. The database system will now wait for you. After you have written it, what does it do? It will wait for you to now execute. So what you will do each time you write your statement is to come and execute your statement. To execute your statement, Mysql provides two buttons up here. The first one have a rule that if you are to use me, highlight the statement you want to execute. Highlight it if you are to use me. Then click me. The second button own rule is if you're to use me, don't highlight. Just be in that line, that area where I am. Be there. So it's not left for you which you want to use. But I can tell you that as your work gets more complex, the best is the first. Because when you have a lot of queries you have already executed before, you can't execute a query more than once. So you'll be finding errors. And how do you know where your query did not run? It is this part. Please, can we mute Mr. Raf? Yeah, thank you, sir. Where you know that what I've done ran successfully or not is below. There's this section below called action outputs. Can you see where my cursor is? These action outputs happen to be the interpreter. It happens to be the interpreter. It gives you an interpretation of your query statement. Was it successful? It will always be ticked green. So whenever you run a query and you find it to be ticked green, it means it is successful. If it is ticked red, it means it is unsuccessful. Now, of course, when you do something and you fail, you want to know why. Diagnostic analysis teaches us that, the root cause. So you want to know, why did my query fail? It is this interpreter you come to. When you come to it, there is this column called message. Read the message. The message will tell you why your query failed. It might be because of syntax error. It might be because of an omission. You'll be able to now go back, detect it again, and solve the issue. I hope we understand. So how do we execute? We'll highlight, use this first button, click on it, look at your interpreter, it's ticked green, right? That means our database for US shop have been created. Once you've created this, you've executed, you're to go over to the left section where we have schemas. Check, for those of you new users, you won't have as many as I have. So check, be sure that you have US shop appearing here. If it is not appearing and your interpreter says successful, don't go and execute it again. It will not execute. It will show you error because you can't execute a database more than once. You can't execute any query more than once. Okay, let's execute this again. What do you notice? Red, failed. And if you look at the message, what did it say? It says cannot create database, US shop. Database exists. So you can't run two codes, two query more than once. So once this has been done, you want to check, you have not seen it yet, you click on what we call the refresh button. See it up here. Two arrow, one going up, one coming down. Click on it, it will refresh your list. Scroll down, you will now see US shop data. I hope we are still together. The reason why I'm doing this is because after this class, I will give us an assignment tonight. So I want everyone to be able to handle that assignment. So we have now created a database called US Shop. So this is how we do it. But now this database lacks meaning because it's just like an uncompleted building, a building without rooms. So we won't know where to keep customer data of US Shop. We won't know where to keep product information of US Shop. And you know what that will cost us. So what do we do now? We will now create tables for each of the data we want to store. Each of the data. So let's begin with customer table. To create customer table for all the customers of this organization, we'll come clean this. We're going to clean this. We'll then first of all tell the database system which database do we want to work on. We do that using what we call the use command. So we say use, you now write the name of the database, US Shop database. You put your semicolon and then you do what? You execute. Now you say, sir, in the US Shop database, here, the DB is lowercase. But here you entered uppercase, it still ran. What does that tell you? It tells you that SQL language is a language that is not case sensitive. That's one of its differences with Python. Languages like Python, if you're using uppercase, you must maintain all those. Here you don't. It's not case sensitive. You can, the only thing it wants is let the name be the name. You can go and mix the letters anyhow you like. It's not its business. And that's awesome. So we want to create our data table. Please, I will send a rejoin link now. Okay. So, like I was saying that we now have to create our tables, especially for customers. So the assignment that will be coming to us, you will be expected to create the database. You are also expected to also create a table so that you can capture all of those information to be stored over there. And that's something I believe at the end of this very meeting you should be able to do. So let's start with creating the customers table. So how do we do it? We also use, now that we have told the database system what to do. Now, when we said use US Shop database here, and you find that immediately on the left hand side, it was switched onto. You can see it's now bold black. You can also see it here. Schema means database. You can see it appear here. Now remember when I told us that the database management system interacts with you. When you wrote it, it has interacted with you because you told him something. I then said that it also interacts with what? The application. Please mute, sir. It interacts with the application and also the database. So it will go and check the application. Is there any database named US Shop? It will go there and check it. You will see when it will interact with the database. So we can now clean this. We say create table. We'll give a name, customers. After you've done this, now there is difference between creating table and creating database. When we created our database, this was all we did. Create database with the name. We ended with a semicolon. But when you're creating your table, you don't do it that way. That tells you that there are different ways you do things. Those different ways in which you do things here in this field has a name. That's what we call syntax. So every task you do has its own syntax. The syntax for creating database is different from creating table. Remember what we say table is and what table does. That table is the first step in organizing your data. Each table represents a different aspect of your business. So what that means is that we should not expect table to be easier like that of database. I hope we understand. So what is the syntax now? The syntax is what we are now going to provide. Syntax talks about the way the system expects what we want to do to be. There is a way that have already been predefined for creating table. And this is it. Create command, table, keyword. Now, table here is what we call a keyword. Each time you're writing codes and you notice that in your codes, you have some letters that are colored. In Python, we call it syntax highlighting. What that simply means, they are what we call keywords. Keywords are reserved words. You met them here, they have already been reserved. They are there to power your query. So let's talk about the syntax for creating table. The syntax simply goes to brackets and your semicolon. This is the syntax for creating tables in MySQL. Create table, customers, 2 brackets, and this. Now, this is an example of table. Look at how it's structured. Made up of your columns and your row. When creating a table in MySQL, the first thing you have to do will be rounding up with this table, so I will send the assignment, then we'll see what you can do. When creating your table, what you do here is to define. What do you define? You are to define the columns that this table contains. Just like we can see here. This, you can see it here. See the columns it contains. So if we are saying let's focus on customers, that means we are going to create columns that contain customer name. We are going to create another for customer ID. We are going to create for customer name, customer ID, any other information that directly relates to customer. I think these are only the 2 we have. ID and the customer name. Phone number here. We don't have email here. So this will now be what the table will contain. Just these 2. So we'll now go back to MySQL. Inside the bracket, so what we do now, for simplicity, we'll bring it down. So that to be clear, we'll now push our cursor like this. It's not a must, you can stay anywhere and do it. I'm just saying so that everything will be clear. So, what do we have? Customer ID, customer name. So we define the column. The first column name is what? That we need is what? We say customer ID. The second is what? We say customer name. First thing you notice is, sir, why are you not putting space in between? We don't put space here. It's underscore for our spacing. Or we use what we call the camel case method. Like this is camel case. Camel case method talks about the first words to be capitalized. Each word is capitalized. And that's what we do. So if you want to go with this, fine. Here we have defined the column. Now, after defining your column, there is something you must do. You must declare the type of data that is stored in the column. And this is where it's different from Excel. In Excel, you put anything anywhere. Put name and number in one column. SQL is a data controlling language. You can go through the material sent to you. So a lot, like column F, where we have customer ID. We know that we have two types of data. We are told in orientation, alphanumeric and media and all of that. But our attention here is on alphanumeric, text and number. Any column that is to contain or hold text data, you must declare declaration, otherwise it won't be accepted. Now, once a data begins with a text, that automatically categorizes or qualifies the rest as text. Take note. Start with number as number. So if we are going by this, we'll declare two columns to hold what we call text, because we have different type of data. Text is number one. So how do we declare? You cannot execute without declaring. So each time you are creating a table, you're to do what? Give it a name, then put your pair bracket inside it, define columns in that, and after that, declare the type of data that table is to, that column is to accept. So if it is to accept, if we declare now, it is to accept text, that's how it will be forever, unless we go and change or modify the table structure. I hope we understand. Now, customer ID. How do we declare? Do at the front of it, data type for text. ID normally is number, but if we go with what we have here, the IDs here start with text, so it can work. So we use text. I hope we get it. So for text data, we call it varchar. So the requirement is you will now come here and say varchar, varchar, like this. You then specify the length. The maximum length should not exceed when you're entering it. So we use a bracket open. Join it closer here. Then you enter it 100. Meaning customer ID must not exceed 100. The same we can do here too. Customer name, we say varchar. What it means also, if we say 150, if anybody is providing customer name of 200 or 151, it will not accept. It will not accept. You understand? It will not accept. Once you are done with the first column, move to the next. You put a comma. Now, this is how you inspect errors. When I'm not putting a comma, what do you notice? A red sign, right? This is already telling you that if you execute this, it will fail. So you have to put a comma before the next. So this is okay. To execute this, I will highlight everything like this and yes, execution. If you go through the interpreter, it is successful. Look at it. It's successful. How do I view this table created? I will go first, click on my refresh button. Under shop database, you can now see the table have been created under it. You can click, you can see it, customers table. Yeah. How do I view this? How do I retrieve that table? Fetch it. We use the word, we use another statement we call select. And this year will be rounding up tonight's class. Then I'll send the assignments immediately. So we'll say select, I want to see this table. I'll say select. When you are writing select, you're interacting with the database. This is where I told you that the database management system interacts with you, interact with the application, and interact with the database. So tell it now, which database do you want it to go and retrieve a table of record for customers from? We will now say US shop database. When you do that, is it everything you want to see? If yes, you use asterisks. So you say select, you say select from. You can see what I did now. Select everything from US shop database. You now put stop. Stop is an object browser that directs the database management system that go and check US shop database and bring me. So full stop is like to bring me who? Who are you for? You now select. So if you have many tables, product, order, all under this database. That's how they will line up. Your own is now to select which one is this. Once you're done, you put your semicolon, and what do? You execute. It now shows you here. Can you now see the table we created? Remember when we structured it, it only contains customer ID and customer name. It's empty because we have not created the record. So the assignment for you is to go and create database and also create tables. I think the assignment, the tables will be many based on how the case study is. So this is all for tonight. The select is used to fetch our data, to retrieve. Asterisk here means all, everything. That means I want everything. If I want only the name of the customers, it is that asterisk I will replace with customer name. Can you see? Execute this now. It will bring only customer name. So that's why we say asterisk means all, everything. Can see now. That's it. So where you have this up here is where we call the result set. It shows you what you have asked for, and you have it here. So I believe we kept to time today, so that we'll not have issues with delaying our nights. So I don't know if we have any question relating to what we have done here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can ask your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. My question is, you use a full stop at the end of the US shop, but at the end of the customer name, you use the semicolon. What if
Okay.
I use the full stop after that customer's name? Will it
Okay.
also return the information
No,
I
no,
requested?
no. It will not return because the full stop is what we call an object browser. This is why it will not return. That US shop and customers is two different things, right?
Yes.
US shop is the database now. It's like the father. This. Who is the parent? The parent is US shop. The children of this man is customer table. Another of his children will be product table if we have created that one. So what full stop does? Full stop is used when you want to like instruct the database which child of this database are you looking for. Do you understand? So it only comes with the when you're looking for a table that belongs to a database. What we'll do, we'll now bring it and say, please get me. So this full stop is like a command. Get me who? You say customers, like this. Semicolon is used to execute. Full stop is used to browse. Semicolon is used to, a semicolon is a must. It must come under, and I mean at the end of it. You can't bring full stop here. If you bring full stop, it's showing you red because this is a table. So there is nothing there is no other upper structure that is contained in that table. What is in that table is normal data. So the full stop don't browse that. Don't cannot go and get you that. You understand, sir?
Okay.
So if you want to now
Yes, sir.
view it, that's why we're not running the select. So the US shop is the parents, customers is the children. I want to get customers a child of US shop. Full stop helps me to go and locate it. Why semicolon is used to execute? It comes at the end of your query because you want to execute. If we are not interested in customers, want to end here, semicolon will come here because that's to execute. But this will not return anything because we are saying select customer name from database. You must tell it the table in that database where this customer name is. You must instruct it. Do you understand? It's like you purchase an item and you place an order, and maybe all these dispatch riders want to come and locate you. What will they do? They will look at the state where you are, look at the town, look at your town. These are different levels. So you can't jump town and go to streets. All this must be followed in a organized manner. So
Okay,
creating
sir.
tables is the first step in organizing your data. I hope we understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in our next upcoming session, we will explore more about database manipulation and managing tables, inserting data and querying data. We will use the same US shop scenario to apply what we have learned. So I will send the assignment to us. I want to also encourage you to ask questions, just as Sir Elijah have done. Share your thoughts, participate actively, please. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. So that's how we start and move on this journey here. Thank you. This is 10:31. Sorry for the extra 1 minute. Thank you for your attention today. And by understanding these bases of databases, DBMS, and MySQL, you are laying a strong foundation for a successful career in this field. Stay committed, practice regularly, and don't hesitate to reach out to me with questions. I'm always available. And recommend our program too to your colleagues so we of us can grow together. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
All right, thank you, sir.
Please do the
Good night,
assignment.
sir.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night.